Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe Pallaviji. Thank you, Madanji and Sunilbhai, for a wonderful session on surrender. So today we are going to discuss a topic which takes us away from surrender. Okay, what is it that does not allow us to surrender in this world? Okay, and I'm in the process of confronting that secret stash that I have right now, and looking at the mirror. What are the things that are holding up? Because we all have that, okay, at different levels and different layers, and it's important to understand that, and that's what we are going to talk about today. So welcome everybody, good morning, good evening, a very warm welcome to all of you. Let's get started by invoking the grace of God and Guru to get started with our session today. Let me share my screen. Okay, you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me get started. Right. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Ishwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening again, everyone. Let's get started. At the expense of sounding cliche, it's a very important sloka in Bhagavad Gita, all shlokas are, and this one is no different. So what we're going to discuss today is what does it take basically? How do we get attached to something? We do get attached. We do have a process of attachment, right? We do feel I'm attached to this, I'm attached to that. Now the key question here to understand is how do we get attached? And what is this concept of detached attachment? Right? There's something called in English there's a word called oxymoron. Oxymoron is there where the first word negates the second word, right? That like cold fire or dry water, right? Or hot ice. Similarly, what is this detached attachment? It sounds like a little oxymoronic. So we'll try to delve a little deeper into that concept today as well. So let's get started with the shloka, and then we will go deeper into the topic of our discussion today. It's a very important shloka. See, Lord Krishna is a master guru, mentor. We know that, right? He's the original Jagat Guru. In addition to that, he's a master architect as well. Right? He's created this entire world. In addition to that, he's a master sculptor also. He's chiseling us so that we can become the better version of ourselves. In addition to that, he's a master dietitian, doctor, you name it, and he's that. Okay, what kind of food you should have, what kind of thoughts. And today we will realize he's a master psychologist as well. Okay, now he's delving into our psychology, and the way he's going to explain about this process, it can dwarf the attempts of all the modern psychologists, right? All the big psychologists that we have. I think Sigmund Freud is known as the father of modern psychology. So a lot of psychologists, their theories will be dwarfed. This is how fundamental Lord Krishna will go. And this concept is so brilliant. When you will understand this, when I understood it, I said, wow, how easily it has been explained. And this is exactly how it goes. This process goes. So if you are tuned in, simply follow along, you will understand this is exactly how it works. throughout our lives. This process keeps on repeating subconsciously. So like I said, Lord Krishna is a master mentor, master architect, master dietitian. Today he's going to show us why he's a master psychologist as well. So let's go into this shloka and then we'll go deeper into the shloka as well. Dhyayato vishayan punsah sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate. All right, we can take a few hands and then get
Radhe
started.
Radhe Samji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe
Radhe.
Samji.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषु पजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
Very nice. You were today in between Rajdhani and Shatabdi, so very nicely done, Samji. Okay, let's take a few more.
Rameshji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषु उपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
Wonderful, very nice. Thank you, Amishi.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषु उपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो अभिजायते.
Wonderful, very nice.
Surinder ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go
Radhe
ahead.
Surendra ji.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu, thank you. Dhyayato Shishva Punsaha Sangasya te pujayate Sangatse jayate kama Kamata krodho bhijayate. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice. Thank you, Surendra ji.
Thank you very
Dinesh
much.
ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
We'll take a few more hands.
Radhe Radhe. Dhyayato visayan pusa sangaste supajayate sangas sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate.
Wonderful, very nice. Okay, let's quickly pick up the remaining hands.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Dhyayato vishayanupams sangasteshu upjayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodha abhijayate. Radhe Radhe.
Ramji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Rahul ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Okay, we'll take 3 more and then we'll get started. Quite a few hands.
Dhyayato vishayan punsah sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, thank you. Okay, we can pick up
Shyamji.
everybody who has turned on their camera. So let's quickly do that.
Yeah, Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषु पजायते सङ्गास्त सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते.
Very nice, thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Uday ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
या राधे राधे. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषोपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते. राधे राधे.
Very nice, Uday ji. Radhe Radhe.
Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Lakshmi ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate.
Wonderful, very
Radhe Radhe.
nice. Radhe Radhe.
Meena ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गो सङ्गस्तेषु उपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
Wonderful, very nice, Meena ji.
Sai Ramji, Radhe Radhe. Please
Radhe
go
Sai
ahead.
Ramji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. You are getting muted. Yes, now it's okay.
Thank you. Adhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate.
Very nice, thank you. All right. I think you have 3 more hands, so would prefer you to be on video, but if you can't, please go ahead and let's quickly cover you as well.
Shruti ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Okay. Just a minute, please. Hi.
Great.
Radhe Radhe.
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 Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bhijayate.
Wonderful.
Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Shruti.
Sorry, actually I'm busy in the morning, so can't turn
No
it on.
worries. I'm
Sorry
glad you
about
could
that.
turn on your video. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 2 more hands real quick and then we get started.
Vasundhara ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Good evening, good morning to all. Dhyayato vishayan pamshaha sanghasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate.
Wonderful. Vasundhara ji, where are you joining us from?
Sorry, I didn't get you, Nitin.
Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from India, Hyderabad.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the session.
Thank
All right.
you.
Riya ji, please go ahead. Last but not the least.
Radhe Radhe Riya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sanga sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much, everyone. So let's get started. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, while contemplating on the object of the senses, one develops attachments to them. Attachment leads to desire, and from desire arises anger. So simply he has explained that. Let's delve deeper into this concept. Very interesting concept and something that we do subconsciously, but let's put a form and shape to it today. Okay. So today we are going to talk about this topic. So diseases of mind, it is called Manas Rog. Okay, we are going to talk about Manas Rog. We know about all the diseases, like our physical ailments that we deal with. Our scriptures tell us that in addition to the physical ailments that anyway we have to deal with, sooner or later in life, some diseases will definitely catch up. Okay, we can increase our longevity, but diseases will catch up. There are some diseases that we'll live with. What are these Manas Rogs? Now let's look at these Manas Rogs. Now in Ramayana states, Manas Roga kachuka me gaye hi sab ke lakhi bira le na paye. We are all aware of disease of the body. Small ailment can make us struggle, but we don't realize that we are continuously tormented by multiple mental ailments. What are those? Lust, anger, greed. They are termed as mental diseases, and it is something that we somehow make peace with and don't even try to cure them. We go to a doctor to take care of our bodily diseases, but we first of all do not have access to the technology, and even if we have it, we don't think it is a disease that needs to be cured. Okay, and those are the diseases we're going to talk about today. Right? Anger, greed, lust, this honor of desire. We are going to spend a good amount of time on anger in tomorrow's session. Now, psychology, if you look at it, right, as Krishna is a master psychologist as well. Now, these ailments, and there are attempts made to analyze these ailments and propose solutions as well. But whatever has been so far deciphered in modern psychology, it falls short and leaves much to be desired. And it's actually some kind of an approximation of the mind and how it works around it. It's just a small approximation. Does not really go deeper into the cause and effect relationship that Lord Krishna is going to talk about today. And that's what we're going to learn today and talk about as well. So in this particular and the forthcoming verses as well, Lord Krishna is actually giving us the insights into the functioning of our mind itself. Okay. Sometimes it just goes, I don't know why it goes like the way it does, but it does sometimes. So he gives us the functioning of the mind. And he explains that when we repeatedly contemplate that there is happiness in some object, the mind becomes attached to it. Okay, let's understand this process through an example. Okay, so in school, like in a class, there are a number of boys and girls. That's an example Swamiji picked up, which is kind of an interesting example. And they interact innocuously with each other. This is an example, I think most of us would be able to relate to it. And then during the course of that interaction, what happens? There's a guy who looks at a girl and starts thinking, I would be very happy if she were mine. Okay, this thought will come. Okay, this is where it starts. Let's understand the psychology. It all starts with that thought that I will be very happy if she were mine. And I had a friend who would fall in love at least 12 times a year, right? Which is pretty a good, healthy average. So 4 times probably every quarter, so to say. And sometimes with the same person, 3 or 4 times. So beyond a point, it becomes a habit to not only fall in love, but fall in love with the concept of falling in love, right? People start loving it as well. They just need to feel that feeling. And because of that, they will keep on finding people. It's like hammer trying to find a nail. Okay. And you'll find such romantic people all around. But let's understand the psychology behind it. Now, this person is thinking that I would be very happy if she were mine. This all starts with a thought. If he had thought that, I will not be happy if she were mine, obviously, think the problem would have been solved then and there itself. But it starts, I will be very happy if that person is mine. Now what happens? Now this thought is getting repeated in the mind. This thought, when you continuously repeat a thought in your mind, it becomes, it starts getting attached to your mind. And he goes on telling his friends that he's madly in love with her. And he's unable to study because his mind repeatedly goes to her, right? These kind of things do happen. What is happening behind the scenes here? The fact that he repeatedly thought there was happiness in the girl, now his mind has become attached. Okay? That this person is the only person I need to get, otherwise my life is a waste. Okay, this is how this process unfolds. Now, if you look at it from a mind standpoint, there are neural channels that have been established. It will automatically go to that person. This person doesn't have to think about this person again. You close your eyes, that person pops up. Wherever you are, you're watching a movie, that person will come. Why? Because neural channels are formed. Right? Swamiji explains the psychology, neuroplasty, neurons that fire together, wire together. And these neurons have wired together now. It's like first thought and you start building the story around it. Okay. How did it started? It started with the thought that person contemplated happiness in that object. That only if I get married to this person or only if this person is mine, that will make me happy. So that thought led to repeated contemplation. Now, every time you're finding a reason, I need to meet this person, I need to meet this person, I need to talk to this person. And your brain repeats it so many times that you form an attachment to that object now. Okay, this example is picked up so that it's easy to relate. However, you think about this process, it's the same process that gets repeated in other walks of life as well. Only if I get this seat in this college, right? Only if this is the position I get at so and so stage of my career, I will be happy. And then your mind will repeat thinking it again and again and again. It will beat it to death until that thought becomes a second nature to you. It becomes part of your existence only, right? Now, in this particular case, looking at the same girl, Some people ridicule him. They say that, they interact with her, but none of them is crazy. They feel normal. Some might be neutral. Some may say, no, man, what do you find special in that person? I find the other person special, right? And why are you losing your sleep and you're eating and everything? Your studies are getting impacted. So other people are neutral about it. Why? Because they did not have the same thought pattern to begin with, that there is happiness in this particular person. So this is just an example, but the process is the same. You get a thought, you repeat it in your head, and then your neural networks are formed. It is called attachment. Now you have formed a bond of attachment to that particular object. Nobody gets attached to anything unless they have repeated that thing in their head multiple times. And why did they repeat that? Because they thought there is happiness in that. That defines the success of my life. If I don't get it, I will be termed as a failure. Or it is important for me. Or what will people say if it doesn't happen? Whatever the trigger. You gave that thought so much of energy in your mind that it became your second nature, and now you are attached to it and you are enslaved by that thought. That thought will not take your permission to come in your head after a while. Okay, that is how the psychology works. What is it called? It is called attachment that you have formed to that particular object or that thing. Okay, this needs to happen and then I'll be happy. Okay, you put that condition. Keep repeating. Now you're attached to that. Now, when you're attached to that, law of probability, maths is applicable everywhere. What is the probability of that thing happening? Anybody knows that? Law of probability. If I spin a coin like this, right, cricket toss happens. What are my odds of winning it? We have done maths. Anybody who can tell me that? Shyamji, I'm going to ask you. I think your math is very strong. So
Yes, Shyamji. Go ahead.
anybody can tell me that. It's a very
50-50.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah.
50-50. And in this case, what is going to happen? 50-50, right? If that girl likes somebody else, she's contemplating on somebody else. No, my happiness is in that. Then a nice love triangle will follow, right? I don't know what is going to happen. So some movie, my director might get inspired. But not, or if the girl also reciprocates, she feels, this guy, yes, my happiness is probably this guy will do. Then the odds are favorable or odds are unfavorable. So yes, it's a 50-50 bet that we are playing on in any situation which we get attached to, right? And you cannot always say the 50% that I am desiring has to happen. You have no rights for that. It's a function of so many things. Okay, that is being naive if it happens. So it's a 50-50 bet that you have placed in your mind with no hedging. Okay, either it'll happen or it will not happen. Now what happens then? Let's look at it. Now attachment in itself, you say, what's the harm in attachment? We have come in life, so we will get attached. We are humans, right? People give this argument. As humans, why won't we get, if we will not get attached, then we are not even humans. So it's very normal. Yeah, so attachment in itself is very innocuous, harmless. But now what happens is, because of that, what happens? Let's look at that psychology now. Now that object of attachment has become your desire. You are desiring that thing. You absolutely need it. Okay? Because if you won't get it, it will make you unhappy. You will stress over it. You'll start stressing over it. Okay, if I don't get it, what will happen? Okay, that's it. Now it has become an object of your desire. This process is subconsciously unfolding in your head. Okay, and that this is beautifully explained here. Then what happens? You'll say, okay, fine, I got a desire. Then what's the problem? So now let's look at it. Attachment happened. Desire came. It led to desire. Now what happens? When the attachment, then you want the object of your desire. For example, if somebody is attached to cigarettes, then that pleasure of smoking cigarettes repeatedly flow in the mind, creating a craving for them. Now, when the desire is gone, now you crave for them. All right, I want to see this person. I want to meet this person. I want to go out on a lunch with this person. I want to see a movie with this person. I want to pick up a phone and pour my heart out to this person, right? Now the craving has started. The next part of it, like cigarettes. The person who's a chain smoker, all he needs is a cigarette. Right? People would wake up at 12 in the night and go all the way up to the railway station because now they're craving for it. Unless they have the object of their desire, which is born out of the strong attachment, because of the reason they thought it's going to give me happiness, is led to craving. Okay. It is led to craving. So what happens then? And same thing happens with drinks also. The desire for drinks come repeatedly to the mind. If you have quelled that desire for the entire day, the moment sun will set, tamas will occupy it, and all you need is a drink at that point. Okay, I have seen very few people who can resist a drink as soon as it starts getting dark. Okay, one of my uncles, he calls me, and I just know when he's in a good mood what's going on here. And then what happens? That desire overpowers you because you crave for it. You have to satiate that desire. Otherwise, your mind will start complaining. I need it. I absolutely need it. It's like that stubborn child which starts, throwing tantrums. Your mind will start throwing tantrums now. You need that. And people become crazy also. You've seen that, right? People, they become drug addicts. They beg and they don't eat, but they would rather go and have drugs. Or you have seen some crazy stories, right? Where people start writing letters and all those kind of things happen because they think their life is completely dependent on this person. Otherwise, I'll go crazy. So now it has led to the craving aspect of it. And then the greed aspect of it will come as well, which I'm going to talk about a little later. Now, what will happen is the two outcomes that we spoke about. Now, either it will get fulfilled. That will lead to greed. You need more of it. Okay. In order to replicate, you need more of it. Okay. Or if it doesn't get satiated, you will have anger or frustration. Anger or frustration we can easily relate to, right? You get angry, you get upset, irritated. You'll find reasons to take out that anger on anybody. So that will happen. And greed will come that you need more of it. Let's say you met that person. Now you want to meet them again, right? Until you get married, and then you know that this is the disaster, biggest disaster. Right? They say the marriage is where the romantic hero dies in the first chapter itself. Okay. Then you say, all right, what happened, right? So it will lead to greed to begin with, and then you'll say, no, everything is over now. So point is, these two outcomes are going to happen. If you don't get it, you'll become upset, very upset to the entire world. So this cycle keeps on repeating in our life for different things, for different objects. And this cycle basically defines the continuum of our life for different things, various things. Either we are getting attached to something and we need more of happiness from that, or we are getting upset because that happiness is getting impeded. Okay, somebody's becoming an obstruction to that happiness that you thought you've gotten attached to. Somebody's becoming an impediment. It could be the person itself, it could be your family member, or it could be some circumstances, whatever the case may be. Now you're becoming upset around it. And it is happening all in our mind, and we are complaining ourselves, telling our stories to the rest of the world, right? As if that's the only story in the world. Everybody has those kind of stories, right? It just keeps on repeating in a cycle. So think about it, how deeply Lord Krishna is explaining this cycle, how it unfolds. Now, the problem with satiating this desire or greed is that it is equated to, we'll talk about it, that it is called that it's just like putting fuel to fire or wood to fire. When you put fuel to fire or ghee in fire, for a moment it may seem it is extinguished, but then it will come back with redoubled intensity. Nobody has satiated their desire by fulfilling it. You can note it down. It is a spiritual truth. Nobody can satiate their desire by fulfilling it. Okay? Our scriptures say that greed comes from the fulfillment of desire, but if you keep fulfilling it, it will lead to that desire fulfillment will lead to greed. And even if a person were to get all the wealth, luxury, and sensual objects in the world, that person's desire would still not be satiated. And knowing it to be the cause of misery, intelligent person should renounce desire. Okay, that's what it is talking about. We'll talk about a higher principle too. Okay, Buddha had stated in his 4 noble truths that there is misery in this world. The cause of misery is desire. You finish desire and hence you will finish misery. In path of devotion, we say, no, you don't have to finish desire. It is as inherent to us as our craving for happiness, right? That is where you desire. The root is, you can trace it back there. But dovetail it. You desire higher things. You desire better things. You desire God. Or you desire, the uplifting things. So you don't quell it. You don't basically discard it, but dovetail it. But our scriptures are telling us how dangerous it is, because the whole pursuit of our life is to satiate our desires. I need this, I need this, I need this. That story keeps on repeating in our head. And scriptures tell us, no, it's not going to lead you big time. You may think getting that object is going to give you happiness. It will not. Okay? Mark Twain, I think he said, there are only two disappointments in life: desiring something and getting it, or desiring something and not getting it. Both the cases will get disappointed. Right? Material objects do not have the ability to give us the happiness or the satisfaction that our soul is craving for. It's a very simple rule. And then the 50-50 outcome, the anger aspect of it. On the flip side, if the desire is obstructed, which happens, right? People who are upset in life generally, why they are upset? Because their desires have gotten obstructed because of some reason. And because of that, what's happening? There's a pent-up frustration and anger in your mind. Okay? There was a lot of pent-up frustration and anger in the mind of youth in 70s in India, I think, because of unemployment and a lot of other things, right? People were holding stuff and stuff like that. That gave rise to the phenomena of Amitabh Bachchan, angry young man. Okay? Why? Because anger was pent up. But the cause of anger is some desire is getting obstructed of youth at that point, that they deserve better than the deal they are getting from the system around. Right? Angry young man, we know how popular it became at that point, because it reflected the general sentiment and mood of the youth in the country at that point in time. Now, anger also does not arise all by itself. It is created from the obstruction of desire, and desire coming from attachment, and attachment is coming from the contemplation on the sense object. I hope this cycle is very clear. Nice, very simply and explained, basically. And now we are going to watch a video too. So basically what happens is, the simple act of contemplating on the pleasure of sense objects leads to downward to the twin diseases of greed and anger. It will invariably lead you to one of these two outcomes. Now I'm going to play a video. Let's watch this video and then we will proceed. Let me know if you're able to hear is the audio clear?
Yes. Yes.
The mind has many afflictions. These are called manas rog in Vedic terminology. You have got sharirik rog, afflictions of the body. One affliction brings you down. Swamiji, I could not come for your lecture. What happened? My tooth was aching. 6-foot frame and one tooth. Ache brought you down. That's the way it is. Now the mind has got a whole lot of afflictions. Anger, greed, desire, hatred, envy. We don't see them as diseases, but the Vedas say these are manas rog. How they are created, how they will go away, this is the subject of Vedic psychology. And if you understand it, you will say the whole of Western psychology, starting from Sigmund Freud to Carl Jung to Adler, Skinner, Maslow, McClelland, it all fades into insignificance. Such powerful analysis of the functioning of the mind is given in the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna says, our Vedas say, look, anger is a disease and greed is a disease. Anger is such a problem. The government has got its laws in place, yet people are unable to control. They break property, they hurt and kill people. all out of anger. There's a story from Uttar Pradesh, one Thakur family, the landowners. There was a litigation going on between the elder brother and the younger brother. The younger brother won the case. He was returning from the court in the evening. The elder brother was sitting in the courtyard with his mother. While returning, he lifted his mustache. You know, the Thakurs in UP keep long mustaches. He lifted it like this. The mother said to the elder one, "If you have drunk my milk, teach him a lesson." He killed him. Later on, when the inquiry was done, what was the instigation? It was found out the instigation was that the younger brother had lifted his mustache. This is anger. It's a disease of the mind. But then is the disease of greed. Motivated by greed, people spend their whole life hoarding when they know that nothing will go away with them. They are going to leave everything here, and yet a lifetime is not enough. It is said Andrew Carnegie, once the richest man in the world, the steel empire, he had so much. He was asked, "Are you satisfied? You are leaving this much?" He said, "No, I want to leave 10 times behind." Once one man got a boon from a king. He saved the king's life in the forest, and the king, being pleased, told him that, "Ask what you like." He said, "Your Majesty, as much land as I can measure on my horse from sunrise to sunset." The king said, "All right." He had a huge kingdom. The next day he started off on a good stallion. Now at sunrise he began. As the stallion was galloping, he was thrilled. So much has become mine, so much has become mine. By 10 a.m. he was the owner of thousands of hectares, enough for many generations, but not enough to satisfy his greed. By midday, he had a huge terrain. He could not have utilized it in any way, but his greed was telling him, "This is your chance, don't miss it. Come on, a little more." He kept on goading and spurring his horse. By late afternoon, the horse was totally exhausted. So was the rider, but the horse collapsed. And this man fell headlong from the horse. His head went and hit a boulder. He suffered a spot death. When the villagers came to bury him, they said, in the end, only these 2 yards of land was any use. All the rest went waste. That is the irony of greed. As somebody said, "Dunya mein khoob kamaya, kya हीरे kya moti, लेकिन क्या करें यारों, कफन में जेब नहीं होती." I earned so much, so many jewels and diamonds, but what to do? The shroud that covers the dead body doesn't have pockets. It all got left behind. So greed is also considered from Vedic viewpoint as a disease of the mind. But the Vedas say, no, beyond it all is another disease. This is the biggest problem. What is that? Desire. See, desire is a disease? What's there in desire? I desire a rasgulla. I desire to go to Las Vegas. What's the problem in desiring? This desire is the mother of greed and anger. Anger and greed are its little children. When does anger arise? When we make a desire and its fulfillment is obstructed, that leads to the outburst of anger. Supposing you desired to relish ice cream today. So you went and got ice cream from the store, 5 kgs of chocolate chip or whatever your favorite ice cream is, and you placed it in the fridge thinking, I will walk in the sun and really build up an appetite, then I will enjoy it. After an hour, when you came back and opened the fridge, there was no ice cream. So the anger has started coming. You asked your spouse, where is the ice cream? I had put 5 kgs here. Your spouse said, look, haven't you seen your medical report? Your cholesterol is high. The doctor has said reduce fats. I took the ice cream and threw it in the garbage. What? You threw the ice cream? Now anger has come. Why did anger come? You had a desire. Its fulfillment was obstructed. That caused anger.
Okay, so I think we're able to reiterate the concept that we are discussing. And that is essentially the concept behind attachment and desire. Now let's have a quick discussion point around. You see here, right? Guy. Why is this guy getting upset about? Anybody wants to take this? Yes, Samji.
Radhe Radhe. Because he has so many heads and he has to pay for each head.
Yeah, that's true. It's unfair, right? Especially if it has to feed 50, basically so many heads. So the more the senses you have to satiate, the more the pain, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a set. Yeah. Anybody else who wanted to say something?
Nitinji,
Yeah, go ahead.
a question. What are the ease? Hello? Sorry, Radhe Radhe.
Hello, Radhe Radhe, both.
What are the easy way and hard way of developing desire for God?
Easy way and hard way of desire for God, you say?
Developing desire for God and Guru.
Why would you desire something? Let's get to the fundamentals now. Why would you desire something?
Attachment?
No, why would you get attached? I mean, you desire something for some reason, right? Why do we desire something?
Knowledge, because that's where happiness lies.
No, that is the means to an end. But when you desire something, why would you desire
That is the nature of the soul.
Okay, you desired ice cream. Why did you desire ice cream, let's say?
I don't know.
For
Why
happiness.
would you desire something to begin with? There are some desire, right? Something think in your mind. I want this thing, this person, this eating object or something. Why do we desire something? Why? This is the fundamental question.
I don't know.
Anybody who wants to answer that? It's a very fundamental question. Why do we desire something?
Sairamji, Radhe Radhe, please go.
Radhe Radhe. Samji, you know the answer to this already. It's just happiness. It's soul seeks happiness. Soul seeks bliss.
Yeah, but Shrutiji said that. I thought even I said that. Didn't I? I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I was asking. So you said, how do we desire for God, right? So I'm just fundamentally trying to break it down. So anything that we desire basically is because we think there is happiness in it, right? There is happiness in it. So anything that gives us happiness, we desire that. It's as simple as that. Now, our scriptures tell us God is happiness, God is bliss, but we have not intellectually convinced around it as yet, right? So we need to give ourselves reasons as to why we should desire for God. Put right kind of knowledge, because see, it's like this same example. If you have $1 million lying in front of you, won't you desire that? Let's say you have a craving for something, you would desire that, right? And you will overcome all the obstacles if those 10 steps is all that you need to take. Similarly, if we are intellectually convinced that the happiness that I'm seeking, it's actually going to be satiated by God only, we will naturally start desiring God. So it's the lack of knowledge and conviction because of which we are not able to. So we need to give ourselves reason and contemplate on that fact more often. We think the things around us, our relationships, the objects, they are going to give us happiness and comfort that we are looking for. And because of which God takes a back seat. Our scriptures are telling us it's actually God which will satiate the thirst that you have, nobody else. But that knowledge is not pakka in our head. Hum jante hain, mante nahi. We know it, but we don't truly believe in it. That is the problem. So that's the only way. No magic can happen. Right? Maharaj used to say we are all swarthi. Swarthi. We are all selfish. But even if we come to know where our swarth or selfishness will get served, the purpose of life will be served. We are selfish, but we don't know where our self-interest will get served, fulfilled basically. Yeah. So it's just a contemplation around this concept that God is bliss and bliss is in God, that we need to reinforce from time to time. And that clarity would start coming in as we do some spiritual practices, right? Like sadhana, seva, listening to good knowledge, contemplating upon whatever little we have understood. All of that would converge to help us, give us more clarity and conviction around this concept. Yes, so a couple of things I will post. So yeah, one of the questions was the centipede was having arthritis. Okay, so somebody asked, how do we reduce the pain for this centipede? So the guy, there was a guy who came, owl came, he said, you know, only if the centipede reduces his legs from 100 to 2, the pain will be reduced. That many desires or sense objects he has opened up, right? So, and he said, how does a centipede reduce legs from 100 to 2? He said, I don't know. I'm just the policy maker. How you do that, it's up to the centipede to figure it out. So similarly, the more channels we open up in our head, I want this, I want that, the more misery channels we have signed up for as well. Sairamji, you wanted to add something? Sorry, I saw you on the camera.
Sairamji?
Radhe, Radhe. No, I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Okay. I see Sumedha ji and Sandhya as well. So let's quickly take that. And then I would like to have a quick discussion on where you have actually tried to fulfill a desire and it has gotten fulfilled. What has happened after that? Let's reflect on that. It might be a good thread on our portal as well. But before, I want to take an opportunity to make a couple of announcements before we continue in our discussion. One is the Tulsi Viva that is going to happen. So I think Haldi, Mehendi, and all the ceremonies that happen, right? See, it's been a while since I got married, so I've forgotten about all the ceremonies. And even if they happened, I don't know. I'm not sure if I participated or not, so I had forgotten completely. But all those ceremonies are going to take place in proper traditional batter, and it's not an ordinary Bharat. It is Tulsi Devi and Lord Krishna's Bharat. So you guys have to come, grace the occasion, and if you can make it in person, nothing like it, but virtually also you can do that. And do check it out online, and there's a beautiful video also circulating around it. If somebody has that, they can post it here. Do sign up for that and like, comment, share for that. That's the marquee event for this weekend. In addition to that, if there are any other announcements, I'll let you do that before we continue with our discussion. So Sumedha ji, yes, we've not forgotten you, so please keep your hand raised and we'll pick up on that conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Nitin ji, for highlighting the wedding of the year, Tulsi Viva, in RKT Temple. I have just now posted the link for the more details about the wedding, Tulsi Viva. And next announcements are about Swamiji's India tour. We have already shared the dates for Puri, that is November 18 to 22, Banara, December 25 to 31, and Delhi, Gurgaon, November 25 to 27. I came to know that Swamiji is going to be in Bangalore, Pune, and other cities also. We'll keep posting the details and the dates as it starts coming in.
Great. Thank you, Pallavi ji. All right, Sandhya, you had a question?
Yeah, quick announcement. One more quick thing, Nitin ji, I missed that. One quick announcement is about the satsang, weekly satsang. It is.
Yeah, I can make that announcement. The Sunday satsang
That's
is a
it.
weekly
Sunday.
satsang for RKT. Do avail that opportunity. It's a great way to solidify the knowledge and bridge the gap between Gyan and Vigyan. So when you get deeper into the meditation, it will help you take that knowledge deeper. And all the intellectual gymnastics that we are doing, sitting here and knowledge, all that stuff should eventually lead you to develop love for God. And that's a great way to practice it every week. Just put in your headphones, noise cancellation or otherwise, and tune in. And if you're in person, then you don't have to think twice. Just come to the temple and enjoy that bliss. Okay. This is a great thing to add to your routine if you have not already added that. And I'm telling you, if you continue to do that, you will start reaping the benefits, and then you can share your experiences around it as well. All right. Are we good then?
Yes. Thank you, Nitinji. We are
Yes,
awesome.
and Sumedha ji,
please raise your hand, Sumedha ji.
Yes, yeah. Sandhya, go ahead.
Yes, Sandhya, please go ahead. Radhe
Radhe. Radhe Radhe. So actually, not really a question, but please correct me if I'm saying it wrongly. This is with respect to what Samji asked. So she was asking if there's what are the short-term ways to develop desire for God, and what are the long-term ways? Long-term ways, I think you anyway specified Seva, Sadhana, Satsang. Some of the shortcut ways, not shortcut, but quickly you might start feeling that is listening to or watching the Leelas, the beautiful Leelas of God, and also hearing the stories of the saints. I personally feel that these two things are very, very inspiring, and they can help us connect, develop a connect very quickly, because they also help us realize that whatever good thing we see around us is just like a very, very, very tiny manifestation of God. So if we have an opportunity to achieve that, why not, right? So that's just one thing I wanted to mention.
No, beautiful. I think you've given some couple of very nice tools around it. Again, it goes back to our contemplation, right? We are convinced it is important, and God has given us variety. Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela, Dham, Parikar. So whatever works for you, wherever you feel, if I chant, it gives me a kind of a peace with remembrance, or if you think looking at the beautiful Leelas of God, somebody may say just immersing yourself in bhajans, anything that works for you, identify your trigger and go with that. That's the only way. Practice and then immersing our mind into that. No shortcuts to success, like it is said, but you never know. There might be something that get triggered by hearing one of these, and you say, all right, now I'm in a fast track. Thank you, Sandhya, for sharing that. Great. Yes, Sumedha ji.
Yeah, thank you, Sandhya. Sandhya ji, for sharing that. Sumedha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sumedha.
Oh, well, let me try unmuting you. Are you able to? Okay, let me again try it. Yes, you're good.
Right. I'm lucky.
I actually had raised my hand. I was trying to answer the question of Samji.
Sure.
One desire, why does one has a desire? But anyway, it got answered. But I also had another question. What is the difference between desire and dream ventures?
Desire and?
Dream ventures. Let's say, for example, children wants to, they want to achieve more in their grades, or they want to achieve certain percentage in their subject. So it's like some dream ventures, or an adult wants to achieve
ambition, goal, right? I think.
Yeah, dream venture. So ambition. So what is the difference between a desire? Because I feel like desire has a negative connotation to it, but then
desire is something that.
Tell me what you.
Yeah, I mean, I can try to. Basically, I brought in the concept of detached attachment today as well, right? Which we couldn't cover much in detail. So I think one of the litmus tests or yardsticks for that is if it does not get, you are actually hung up on the outcome aspect of it, right? The karma yoga like we speak about. If fulfillment of that, non-fulfillment of that gives you frustration, then you are having a binding attachment to that part of it, right? It's more of a desire. But if you just focus on the process part of it and detach to the outcome, you still put in your best. It's called a detached attachment. You are ambitious, but at the same time, you have the big picture in mind that, outcome may or may not be favorable always. It's a very thin line. I don't know, maybe that might be a question to ask to Swamiji on one of the SMX. He can answer it to your satisfaction. But the way I understand is it doesn't mean that you don't become ambitious or don't set lofty goals for yourself. As long as your state of mind, regardless of whether you get your goal or not, is not getting disturbed, or you start feeling, the greed aspect of it. It's very subtle line, but that is how I would at least conceptualize it in my head. At least it's very difficult, right? Now, if you become frustrated, upset, if you don't get that and it breaks you down, then there is a problem there. That means it's more of an obsession than having a lofty ambition alone at that point.
Okay.
So if you call desire obsession, when does desire become an obsession? So these are very subtle things, right? And then does it mean we stop being ambitious? Of course not. You still have to set goals. Does it mean that we have to be attached to our goals? Answer is no. So these are very subtle concepts. Maybe as we progress, we'll get more, but you may ask that question to Swamiji, especially if you're on an SMX. It's a very nice, good question, basically.
If you may allow, can I answer this question that's on the screen?
Sure.
It's actually a very perfect example. So earlier in my career, I was very, very ambitious. I wanted to achieve certain titles, position, and consider me as a late bloomer in my career. And so I thought that I was on the left lane driving at the speed of 155 kilometers per hour or something like that. And I actually did achieve so many designations in a very, very short span of time. Was I happy? No, I was not happy. I was so burnt out. There were so many emotions. There were so many negative feelings. It started taking toll on my health, my mental health as well. It came a point that I had to just resign from my position and take a break. And now I feel very blissful. I don't know why, maybe because I'm out of that stress phase or whatnot, but I do feel like that it was my doing. It was my doing because I had set some unrealistic goals for myself, and I actually achieved them, but in a very short span, and it really took a toll on my health, my wellness, my family life. I wasn't able to spend quality time with my children when they were growing up. So I have a lot of regrets, and I actually would like to give this advice to people of my ambition, that don't chase material things. Let them come very organic way to you. So
Beautiful
I thought
point.
I'd do that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's an excellent tip for people who are very super ambitious in their careers. I see people, they put in, enormous amounts of time in their profession because they just want to make it big in life in quick time. And even otherwise, they become workaholics. That just becomes part of their personality. And like they say, there are no free lunches in life. Everything comes at a price tag. And that price tag can be pretty expensive. So I'm glad that the awakening or it dawned upon you, because even if we can reflect back on it and take some learning out of it, that itself is a big thing. Because generally we don't reflect and get that learning. But great thing. I think you're just reiterating what our scriptures are telling. It's not going to give you happiness no matter what you chase.
And I think the best part out of that was that I actually had the courage to say, you know what, enough is enough, because not many people would act. They would say, okay, now leave this. What's the point of giving it all up? But I said, no, I just cannot take this anymore. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that, Sumitaji. Wonderful example. I think it's going to have a pretty interesting discussion thread on our portal as well. So thanks for sharing that. Let's hear from, I can see quite a few. Vainji has opened up her. Let's speak to Vainji. I think she's raised her hand for the first time. So love to hear from you.
Vainji. Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Vain, you wanted to say something?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
You say Wayne, right?
Wine. Okay.
Oh, yes. When I retired in 2018, I set a goal to be the best I could possibly be for whatever amount of life I had left in body, mind, and spirit. So I got involved got an interest in studying both Eastern and Western philosophy. And that led me back to my experience of practicing yoga, basically, the Western yoga, the asanas and that kind of thing, and led me to Ashtanga yoga. And then I recently found the temple in Allen and started attending the satsangs. And I have to say that my desire to achieve the best I could be, or at least be on the right path, I'm content now that I'm on the right path. And if I would have done anything differently, I would have started a lot younger. Thank you. Righty.
Thank you, Wayne, for sharing that. Yes, I'm glad you're able to reflect on that. And I love the fact you said I would have started younger, because you value it. You understand that time is limited. It's a limited commodity. For some of us, we think, no, let us enjoy the material world first, and let us at least go through the experience, and then we will be convinced and make up our mind. But see, I can see at least two examples when you are in hindsight, you can reflect back. So we can learn from experience, and we can go by scriptures, which are very conclusively, clearly telling us there isn't any happiness. If you want to lose time, experiment, go for it, but you're not going to get happiness out of it. And that's a great example, Wayne. In fact, from Western philosophy, it can take us to the peak of materialism, but when you reach there, you see there's nothing, no happiness, and then you start exploring something else, right? And then that's where some of the Oriental philosophies, they help you look at the next step. What next? How do I get closer to the peace, joy, happiness that I was looking for? Great. Thank you for sharing that, Wayne. I look forward to meeting you in person one of the days at temple. Yes, Himani. Let's hear from Himani.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Yeah. Himani ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. I was wondering if spiritual desires and material desires without attachment, if they are compatible. Because from Swamiji, we have heard that we can either have God or world in our mind. Both of them cannot exist at the same time. But for me, especially since I've started attending these sessions, I do have material desires, but the attachment, I'm improving on the attachment part a lot. So are they compatible with spiritual desires?
The material desires, it's like there are only two areas, right? Again, going back to the philosophy, like Maharaj Ji says, your mind cannot be in a pending state. So either you are desiring world or you're desiring God. You cannot desire God via world, right? Or world via God anyway we do, right? We are desiring world via God. That God, I need this, I need that. But end of the day, what is it that you are craving for? It has to be either world or God. It cannot be both at the same time. It's a deeper concept, but that is how typically it is, right? For example, if somebody is sick, somebody's child is sick, and they go to a doctor, and the doctor writes a medicine, right? So they go to doctor, they listen to doctor, go through the processes, buy the medicine, and give it to the kid. So it seems like that they are doing the bhakti of the doctor, but in their heart, what are they doing? They're actually doing it for their son. That person is doing the bhakti of their son, although they are following whatever doctor and everybody is telling them. So similarly, in the world, if you are operating, but at the heart, the big picture is in mind, that is the deal. But if you are desiring thing related to world, then God is not there. It is out. Another example is that there's a guy who wants to marry a girl. His father said, no, I cannot give you my girl to somebody like you because you don't make the 6-figure salary as yet. Now the guy goes back and starts working hard. So on the outside, he's working hard. He's doing his project reports also. He's talking to people also. But in the heart, his goal is that, okay, I'm doing all this so that I can get married to that girl. So the aim, lakshata vachata, the means might be world, where the end is God. So that defines where your heart is actually, your stash is. So that stash needs to be diverted towards God gradually, and Karam Yoga is the stepping stone for that. That is why Karam Yoga is the recommended path for all of us, because we purify our intention. It's Karam Yoga, if I were to define it in a very simple word, it is a process of purifying our intention behind whatever we are doing. That's all.
Got it.
It can only be purified if it is attached to all pure. Other than that, everything is impure. God is pure, everything else is impure.
Got it. I just have a follow-up question. Is it possible that 50% of the time the mind is in God and 50% it's in the world, and it's just switching between the two?
Possible, very true. That is called Kunjar Shachavat, right? So that 50% in God, that is your earning, and the 50% in world is your expenditure. So make sure your earnings are exceeding your expenditure and you are on the track then.
Got it. Got it.
But at one point in time, you cannot have it in both.
I see. I see.
Right? 50-50, yeah. Exclusively, yes. But at one point you say, no, it's God is also there, world. No, not possible.
I see.
It goes against the philosophy.
Makes sense. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Beautifully
Yes,
explained.
Kumarji.
Thank you, Nitinji. Beautifully explained.
No, it's a great
Kumarji.
question, actually.
Yeah.
And Himani is the one who openly admits, very candidly admits, I like to enjoy Maya. Okay, now her responses have started changing a little bit. So Himani will continue in this journey and we'll see how that progresses now. Okay. I remember your first time when you came, you said, I like to enjoy Maya. I said, all right, that's nice.
Yes.
You'll probably be the first person who has cracked the code of extracting enjoyment from Maya for a sustained period of time. Great. Let's hear from Kumarji as well.
Yes, Kumarji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Yes.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji,
Radhe
and on request of Shyamji and Sandhya ji, I have kept my camera on, as I promised Sandhya ji, right, last session. So the question, the fast tracking of attachment to God, in my case, I can give, because for each person it's different, right? So mine is my, I would say by bhakti, whenever I need some bhakti, I just start reading Rajgopalachari's Ramayana. It's in simple English. And I straight away go to Sundarkand, right? Because once you start reading about Hanuman, and if you cannot get bhakti, it'll be very tough for you to get bhakti anyways. That's my thought on it. Sorry, I might be a bit biased. But you start reading it. Of course, there are many occasions in Ramayana where you just, like you'll just get goosebumps. Tears will flow through your eyes. But when it comes to Sundarkand, the whole mahal, as they call in Hindi, right, changes. It becomes very optimistic. So like in our life, when we are in the dark stages, when you read that, you get the confidence that anything is possible. And for that, you just attach yourself to Hanumanji and Ramji. And that has happened in my life. And, I just love listening to my, what I call my second mother, M.S. Subbalakshmi. And she has sung this, right, about Hanuman Chalisa, right? Fantastic, divine. It's divine. Your devotion will just flow through you. I've seen that. That's a way to fast track, I would say. And they always say, right, in Kali Yuga, bhakti is the easier way to, realization and all this, so God realization. Yep. And just one thing is about your.
Yeah, Kumarji.
Sorry. Yeah, I think I moved my screen. So, okay. So the other thing is I have seen materialistic pleasures. Yeah, they are very, very temporary. Like after you go through, and unfortunately, I think life is like you go through this material thing and then at last say, like, what did I get out of this really? Yeah, temporary pleasures like eating a rasgulla, and then after a couple of rasgulla, then it doesn't help you anymore. So spiritual
happiness is the real happiness.
True.
I have found out. And if you don't find it out, God kind of gives you hard knocks, which I got in my life as well.
Yes.
Many people get it till, like he slaps you and say, hey, come on, wake up.
Yep.
And, at that time, we don't know why. I say, God, why are you testing me and all that stuff? But, overall, if you see, if you start reading the Bhagavad Gita, I've come to these sessions and this knowledge is so great, right? Just like yoga, pranayama, and meditation are great things to do. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is so great that, it will transform you. That's my thoughts. Thanks, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much, Kumarji. Very true. You said bhakti is the easiest way in Kali Yuga. I would say bhakti is the only way in Kali Yuga. So I'll just take it a notch up there. Beautiful points. Very nice. And thank you for vilifying the Rasgulla once again. That's what we've been doing in our session. So maybe I'll start picking up on Gulab Jamuns now. And thank you for not heeding to my request of turning on the cameras and to doing it for Shyamji, which is wonderful. So Shyamji, you are being heard. That helps as well. Okay, I can see a few more. Samji had a question and then Sairamji had, and then we can move to our devotional segment. I've already gotten one nominee, which is Sandhya, who's going to sing. And if you want to, please raise your hand and then we will have a few minutes in our chanting segment as well. Yes, Samji, you had a question and then Sairamji.
Yes, Samji.
Yeah.
Yes, somehow I couldn't. Okay. Radhe Radhe, Samji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Nitinji, you said that we can desire world through God, but we cannot desire God through world. Why is it not possible?
No, you can actually. If you're thinking divine in God also, that is fine. See, even the worship that you do, if you think if in your kid you are seeing God, yes, in all the kids you can see God. So through world you can desire God as well. That is quite possible.
Does that mean we are dovetailing material desires, linking material desires with God?
No, you have to be honest to yourself. Are you desiring the material thing or are you desiring God? Because if you're desiring God, you will see divinity in everybody, right? Why limiting it to that particular thing alone then? It's a very subjective question. I said it's a self, what do you call the contextual question, in the sense that where is it that you are desiring to see divinity in a material thing?
That's what we have. Yeah, we have both material desires and also we want to go to God, right?
God is a very perfectionist and a very what you call that exclusivity is what he requires. He says no, that will not do basically, and that is the state we have to reach. God says I need exclusivity, your exclusive attention.
God says, but we are still in the process, right?
True. You need to keep on increasing the process, of course, proportion in that case.
Okay. Suppose if someone incites desires in us and make promises and then breaks it without fulfilling the promises, then what are the consequences for that person and for the victim also?
I will sue that person in the court of law. I'll go and file a case and say that person broke the promises and did not fulfill my desire. But let's talk about it, Samji. It's more of a contextual question in regards to what's happening. But the point here is, see, we are all work in progress. So we got to be realistic about it, right? It's not that all of a sudden God will become our top priority, although that is the aspired state, right? So we need to increase that proportion over time. Right? We start looking at it in relations around, we start dovetailing our desires. I'm a trustee, not the owner. All the principles that we are learning, we start applying that, contemplating that, and start getting better at those. That's all it is. Right? And aligning to God's will. I know you're not satisfied, so it requires a little more discussion. I know that. So maybe an offline call, and then we can bring it to discuss session, the learnings around it. So let's move on quickly because we have to stop it at around 10:20, 20:25 as well. Yes, Sairamji.
Ramyaji. Yeah.
Sairamji has raised as well.
Yes.
Then we can go to Shriram.
Yes. I think I have already unmuted Ramyaji. Sri Ramyaji.
Okay, sure.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah.
Radhe Radhe.
Nitinji, is it okay if I just add one more point to the discussion of what Himaniji and of what Samji said?
Sure, please. That's why we have this session for, right? You can do it on portal as well.
Okay. Just one small point I wanted to mention. From what I've understood from Swamiji and these classes so far, and one Bhagavad Gita shloka, it ultimately boils down to the identity, whether we see ourselves as the senses or mind, or we see ourselves as the soul. And when we see ourselves as the soul, and if the desires that we have, they would be from the context of the soul. So at that point, I think one shloka is that where Krishna says those desires are burnt of such people who are in that spiritual context. And anything when I'm desiring, is it I'm desiring for happiness of my mind or my senses or for the soul? If we are able to differentiate that, then maybe to some extent the problem is solved.
Yes. Yes. Every decision, every thought, every action that we do, if we can simplify, am I doing it for body, mind, senses, or am I doing it for soul? That will simplify everything. But to bring that knowledge and apply that discrimination is the real art. That's where we need to get better. Great points, Shri Ramya. Beautiful points. Yes, Sairamji. Sorry.
Yes, Sairamji. Please go ahead, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe, I think we should give others a turn. I always talk. So
go ahead. You can quickly do that. Then we can take Hasmita and Surya.
Okay. I mean, I'll keep it very quick then and short. I know others have examples here that are pretty, pretty big and personal in their life, but maybe I'll just keep it very, very simple. Before I came to these classes, one mind would be always absorbed in these kinds of TV shows and that kind of stuff. For instance, just take Netflix for an example. You would think of Stranger Things or some other TV show. You would binge watch it, enjoying every moment of it for hours on an end, and there'd be 10 or 20 episodes, and you'd watch everything, completely engaging your senses in the pleasure of watching the show and enjoying all of it in the thrill and suspense and everything. And then the show is finished. That's it. It feels like all that happiness, the pleasure is gone. And now you have to find another show that's even better than this. And you don't know if it's there or not. But if you listen to a bhajan that is good and your mind is engaged in it, you can listen to that for months and you'll never get bored.
True.
Very practical tool that you're talking about. You just have to experience it and you will know it intuitively. I'm glad you are able to articulate it as well and share it. Everybody would experience that. And you find, in order to create the same thrill that you got from that material thing, you need something bigger and better now, right? That's how it goes. Otherwise, no thrill at all, right? Great point. And bhajans, it's just the opposite. It will grow on you, more sweeter. That's the beauty in God's name. Right? It is said, if you are thirsty and if you start saying water, 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 will it quench your thirst? No. Right? But your spiritual thirst, by saying Radhe Krishna, Ram, Ram, it will start getting quenched. That is the power in God's name or his bhajans and leelas. Great point. Thank you for sharing that, Sairamji.
Thank you.
Radhe, Radhe.
I'm going to get a very tough question from Hasmita. Please go ahead, Hasmita.
Hasmita ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Sorry. My camera is not working, so
No
sorry
worries.
about that. And the question I'm about to ask might not be appropriate for my age, so please don't mind. But so we learned that after, especially as kids, we learned that spiritual relationships are far more important and better than material relationships. So does that mean that we're not supposed to have any friends or not get married in the future?
No, if somebody can support you in your journey, they are called sakhas and sakhis. So if you find people who are supportive in your spiritual journey, why not? But it's a 50-50 bet, right? So you can come across somebody who's actually assisting you in spiritual journey, even better, right? They can actually fast track your growth by being supportive. Right? When it comes to marriage and all, Swamiji has answered that question multiple times, right? It's a bit of a lottery. But then in friends, you can always be selective about, what kind of people you're talking to and dealing with. Are they bringing in optimism, positivity in you, or are they bringing in negativity and worldly things and gossips to you? Those choices you can certainly make. But yes, you can have people who can support you on this journey as well. It doesn't mean you isolate yourself and exist in vacuum to progress spiritually. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for an relatively easier question.
Beautiful question.
When
Thank you,
kids or
Smita.
youth ask me a question, I'm like, okay, I get terrified. Okay. All right. Surya Prakashi, last one. And
Yeah,
then we get
Surya
into our
Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe. Please.
emotional segment. I think Payal ji has turned on our video, which signals that she's going to sing. And Sandhya is
Radhe
going to
Radhe
sing.
Nitin ji.
We have two chantings today. Yes, Surya Prakashi.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. I have 2 points. Number one, earlier when one of our devotee was telling about that, keep me when you are telling workaholic, you should not be workaholic. A ideal mind is the devil's workshop, like that. So I feel if you keep busy yourself, yeah, of course it can be work, it can be, so you may not, the desires may not come.
True. I think that question, it has to be looked at in context, right? Drinking work as an alcohol is fine if you don't have a plan B. But when you understand the goal of life, you do whatever is required in your day-to-day life to earn your paycheck, but then whatever spare time is there, that should be devoted to seva and sadhana. But if you make your work as the sole goal of your life at the expense of your health and other things, that is what we were discussing is not worth it, because it will lead to disappointment only.
Okay. And second one, very few people like us who are maybe like platform. I came to know this platform very late. And like that, several people may be there. Even some people, they may get the platform, but the speaker may not be able to means satisfy who are attending means people like that. What is the status of them?
Are you talking about me?
Me, no. The people, when you are several people are there, very few people are attached to the platforms. Means will come across like this.
So what's the question? I didn't get that, Surya Prakashi. What was the question?
See, very people now. Let us say around 100 people are there now in this platform. Like this, let us say another 100. Very few people are attached to this. They are getting the exposure to this.
Okay.
Either knowledge or, but what is other people means rest of the people who are inclined to this, but they are not able to get this type of associations.
Okay. So what's the question then? What happens?
For them, how it is?
Okay. So I think
and
we find the well that quenches our thirst.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason people are coming to a platform is because they're getting some value out of it, right? We all are seeking bliss. We all are seeking satisfaction. If somebody is not satisfied, they will try to find another well or some other place. The very fact that they are hooked on to a particular platform is they're finding some meaning in that.
No, I'm not. My question is not that. Who are not attached to the associations or this type of, their inner is good, but they are not exposed or come across.
Understood. Yes. So that is fine. In due course of time, if somebody is good, right, and they are not having exposure to spiritual knowledge, still they cannot be perfectly good, because then they will go by their own definition of good. In due course of time, if they have spiritual spark, God is seated within, he will arrange. When they are ready, they will be led to somebody and they will start getting that exposure. So that thirst or that spark has to come from within from them. If they're satisfied in their day-to-day life, then of course that spark will not come. Then God will not just simply impose it on them, right? So once they have the spark, they will also find some platform to take their journey forward. And that is how it works. Okay. Thank you, Surya Prakash ji. Now let's have Sandhya move to our devotional segment. We'll have 2 chantings today because we are kind of closing in on 10:30, starting with Sandhya, and then Payal ji is already warming up. Let's have 2 chantings for the day and then call our session a close. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about the general of Maya, the super journal of Maya. Okay, so we'll have some interesting discussion, engagement around that as well. So over to you, Sandhya.
Okay, Radhe Radhe. This is a Hindi version only, and I haven't prepared any English translation. So
no worries.
Sorry about that, but I'll just
You are on spotlight, Sandhya. Go ahead.
Okay. लगन तुमसे लगा बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा तुम्हें अपना बना बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा कभी दुनिया से डरती थी कि छुप छुप याद करती थी कभी दुनिया से डरती थी कि छुप छुप याद करती थी लो अब पर्दा उठा बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा लगन तुमसे लगा बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा कभी यह ख्याल था दुनिया हमें बदनाम कर देगी शर्म अब बीच खा बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा लगन तुमसे लगा बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा दीवाने बन गए तेरे तो फिर दुनिया से क्या मतलब तेरी चरणों में आ बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा लगन तुमसे लगा बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा तुम्हें अपना बना बैठी जो होगा देखा जाएगा
Very nice, Sandhya. You have it all memorized?
No, I was looking at it as well. I saw it today and I really liked this bhajan, so I wanted to.
Beautiful bhajan. It's like complete Sharnagat bhav. It's like, come what may, I'm going to willing to take on the world and everything for you, Krishna. It's like that English song is there, right? Truly, deeply, madly. That's that version. Very nice. Loved it. Very nice bhav. I think you have listened to it multiple times. I could sense that. And it's a beautiful bhajan. You can share the link for it or with us as well. So loved it. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. A lot of hearts are coming your way for that. Okay. Thank you. All right. Over to you, Payal ji, then. For the
Radhe Payal ji. Thank you, Sandhya ji. What a wonderful, lovely bhajan. You sang it beautifully.
With a lot of bhav and like Krishna was sakshat in front of him.
Lovely.
Nice.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yes, Payal ji, all yours. So you will take the hot seat now and let me put you on the hot seat then. Here you go.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Beautiful lyrics, Sandhya ji. I love the bhajan you sing. I would request if you can please share it with me. Yeah, thank you.
श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं तो दुल्हन बन के आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। मैं तो दुल्हन बन के आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं तो बन कर दुल्हन आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। श्यामान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe, Payalji, thank you very much. No matter how many times you listen to this bhajan, it grows on you. And this has been such a hit bhajan, and every time I hear it, it's like, wow. And when you do perfect justice to this song, so you can sing it every day and we can listen it every day. We are all ears for that. Loved it. Wonderful. With that, we come to the end of today's session. It was a long, protracted session, but I think well worth it. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, as we always do. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll discuss, we'll get more deeper into, these Manas Rogs that we are talking about and discuss some of the tools, techniques, how to handle that as well. Next couple of discussions we're going to dedicate to that. So stay blessed. Good night. Good day. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Nitinji, for such another awesome session. Thanks to all of you. Radhe Radhe. See you tomorrow.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, everybody.